offstage drama that has Broadway actually buzzing. Jeremy Piven, star of the hit show Entourage, suddenly bailed out on his lead role in a big Broadway show here in New York. He says it's because of exhaustion brought on by acute mercury poisoning, but not everybody's buying it. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis.
He plays the high-energy agent on Entourage.
We making a movie or not?
And was headlining one of the most popular plays on Broadway, Speed the Plow.
You prayed to be pure.
I did.
This morning.
I was joking.
But after Jeremy Piven abruptly pulled out of the show, citing extreme exhaustion due to a high level of mercury, the entertainment world reacted with deep skepticism.
There is not an investor or a producer in Speed the Plow who believes that Jeremy Piven is really suffering from mercury poisoning. His reputation in Hollywood is that, you know, he's kind of lives his life the way the characters on Entourage do.
Speed the Plow playwright David Mamet even pointedly suggested that Piven was leaving show business to pursue a career as a thermometer. Piven's doctor said a diet heavy in sushi, often twice a day, and past use of herbal supplements likely raised the mercury in his body to toxic levels.
Mercury poisoning is very unusual. It's very infrequently diagnosed in the United States, and that's why you need to really see an expert.
Fish like tuna, sea bass, and swordfish can contain high levels of mercury. In fact, pregnant women are urged to stay away from it. And while acute reactions like Piven's are rare, they're not unheard of. Still, many think there's something fishy about Piven's story. The actor reportedly tried to end his run on the show earlier this month.
But I think that a lot of young actors, particularly actors who have not spent any time in the theater, I think they get restless and I think they get bored. And in Jeremy's case, I guess they also get mercury poisoning.
For Good Morning America, I'm Lindsay Davis, ABC News, New York.
And joining us now is Dr. Carlon Colker, Jeremy Piven's doctor. Good morning.
Good morning, Kate.
Good to
How
have
are you?
Here. I'm good. So you heard a lot of skepticism in that piece. So straighten me out. How is Jeremy Piven doing, first of all?
Yesterday was a rough day. Today, hopefully, he's a little bit better. I haven't spoken to him yet today. You know, using terms like he bailed or he walked away, I mean, this is just an unfair characterization. You know, we were very transparent about the fact that he had a mercury level which was actually shockingly high. It was almost 6 times the upper limit of the allowable reference range, so it was very, very high, and he had very severe symptoms of fatigue and exhaustion at the very beginning of the run of the show. So we were very transparent about this. Everybody knew about it, and we were basically going to try to tough it out and see how it went. I acquiesced and let him go ahead and do that, and as we initiated his treatment to try to bring these levels down, but his symptoms did progress.
Did he want to keep performing?
Absolutely. In fact, he kept performing even up to the point of December 10th when I fired out a letter to everybody saying, look, at this point when his symptoms progressed, even though the level had come down somewhat, it was still well above the acceptable reference range, and his symptoms progressed. The neuromuscular fatigue began to come into play, and at that point I decided, you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, hey, listen, I think you need to step away from this. And keep in mind, Jeremy is known as an absolute, you know, iron horse when it comes to Hollywood and you know, acting. So he's worked 17-hour days.
Right.
He's got 3 Emmys. So he's known as a workhorse. So it was up to me to sort of step in and say, hey, listen, I got to pull the reins back here.
With all due respect, he's also known as a bit of a partier.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't much partying going on this time on this time around. He didn't get a chance to enjoy enough, probably for him, enough of the nightlife scene and all that stuff that he's used to.
Really wasn't feeling well.
You know, it just hasn't been a great time for him. And you know, look, it wasn't like the show was a flop. It was a big hit for him.
Did have
so he had a vested interest in,
yeah.
You know,
We reached out and tried to do our homework and talked to about a dozen toxicologists through our medical unit here, most of whom said, yeah, there can be mercury poisoning from sushi if you're eating it twice a day. But I will say several of these doctors said to us 6 times the normal level might not be enough. It would mean hundreds or thousands of times to make you that sick.
If they did those tests with the regularity that I do them and they saw the patients that I see, you know, I'd like to see if they like a mercury level 6 times normal and walk around saying this is just fine. I'm glad you said that most of the toxicologists correctly reported that it is a very real problem. It's a serious problem. And, you know, the greater issue here is to talk about the environment. Look, I'm an environmentalist, and what we're doing, hopefully this raises everybody's awareness to not only, you know, what we're doing to the environment, also if they're feeling symptoms that they can't explain, that because it affects all organ systems, and they eat a lot of fish, go to the doctor.
People shouldn't be eating this much sushi.
And they should be getting their heavy metals checked. If the doctor can't explain it and they can't explain it, they should see the doctor and say, hey, listen, maybe I should be checked for heavy metals.
Have you told him to stop eating at Nobu so
absolutely.
often?
Well, I'm going to single out Nobu. If anybody sees Jeremy Piven eating any sushi at any restaurant, then you have to call my office in the next couple of months. I want to make sure he has a moratorium on it.
All right, doctor, thanks so much, Dr. Colker.
Thank you, Kate.
Appreciate your time.